Hello and welcome with another video. I'm Professor Dr. Moina Mughal from Dr. M. Institute of Chemistry, University of St. John Shiro. I am again here with something new, something more interesting and interesting for my viewers, for all my subscribers, for my all friends, family and everyone who is interested in listening my lectures. So today I have selected a topic in which I have done a little bit survey. A survey I have also done on some products which are not that much healthy for our lives, right, which are loaded with a number of metals and chemicals in them, and we are in every third house, every single house is using these products. And why? Because I will tell you now in my video. So I have something in my hand. Can you see these? Well, the names, company names are also written on it. I don't want to defame the companies or anything like that, but what are these? These are all masalas, recipes. In Urdu we call masalas the spices, right? The different grounded spices that are ready-made masala mixtures available in in different varieties and in different for different recipes and for different dishes. They are used in every house, and everybody is interested in using these very spicy and grounded spices. I don't know, there must be a reason. Yes, of course, I have tasted few dishes by using these boxes, these recipe mixtures, because they are full of flavors. They have lovely flavors, and in a very little time you are able to cook a very delicious dish, right? So without knowing that they are harmful, we are buying and we are using them. Especially today's video is for the women who are housewives and who are doing the cooking, because in even my family I have seen a lot of women who are using these masala recipes, these spice recipe mixes, right? I will better call them food recipe mixtures, right? And they are loaded with preservatives, loaded with different chemicals, which definitely the housewives, they won't be knowing it, that what are the side effects of using these chemical filled spices, grounded spices, which are ready to use. You just fill your spoon and you just sprinkle it in your curry dishes, over your meat, over your on your different fish masalas are also there. And there are so many other types of spices that are available, and they are in such they are ready-made, and you just simply sprinkle them and you'll get the flavor. You get even we marinate them. We are using because they are these boxes are in large variety. So there are tikka masalas also, barbecue masalas also, or barbecue spices, or these are all the things that are they have a large variety. So everyone is going for it and everybody is buying it, and they are getting the dish in a full flavor. So today's topic is about these ready-made recipe mixes, which I have selected today as a very interesting topic. And why I have selected, because it contains a lot of chemicals in them. It has got preservative that is called silicon, or you can call it amorphous silicon dioxide. It is used in anti-caking agent. Now, what is an anti-caking agent? ANTICAKING. Anti-caking agent is something you can call it as a drying agent, because they can absorb the moisture. These spices, they can get the moistures, and just to avoid that moisture, they add a lot of amorphous silicon dioxide in it, right? So though amorphous silicon dioxide is not that hazardous, but of course it's a chemical. and it is used in desiccators in our laboratories, in our synthetic laboratories in which we do the organic synthesis. We usually use these silicon dioxide as it's silica. So basically we use in the desiccators, right? It is used, so basically silicon dioxide or silica is used in the desiccators to absorb the moisture, and then we fill the desiccator. Desiccator is a glass, made up of a glass, it's a big, you know, container, a glass container that has got a lid over it, and it has got a pump also, a vacuum pump. We create a vacuum in it, and then we keep and we fill it with the silica, right? Silica is available in many forms. Their mesh size is different, so we just prefer the granular form of silica, and we fill the desiccators, and then desiccators are ready for drying our whatever compound we have synthesized, to dry the moisture or dry the, you know, solvents in which we have prepared our compound. We use these desiccators to dry our product, and then we just insert our small containers, in which our the compound we have synthesized. Because I'm basically a chemist, organic chemist who is involved in organic synthesis, so I have prepared a lot of organic compounds. So I'm talking in that sense, I'm referring to that sense, that when I prepare a compound, I used to dry it. So this is also one of the drying methods, that in the desiccator is a glass container in which we keep our we just fill our compound which we have prepared, and then we just put the lid on again on the desiccator, and then we leave it for 24 hours, and after 24 hours we just come and we just again look for whether it's in the dry form. So basically what is the function of this silica is just to absorb the moisture in it, and it is in these boxes. They always mix this silicon dioxide in the amorphous form, so that it can the spice should be fresh. The spice should remain in the powder form for as long as possible. I mean, for the expiry dates are there, but I'm not sure about the expiry dates, even that whether the expiry dates are accurate or not, because there's a lot of hanky-panky that's been going on with these boxes. Okay, whatever is available. So these are the branded ones, right? But the unbranded, they have, again, they are all reaching the lowest quality. This is at least a quality which we are using in our homes, but still they are loaded with a lot of chemicals. So we need to be very careful when you are using these things. Now, what they are hazardous. They are hazardous, that means they contain chemicals. That means these are the food we are using them in our as an edible, right? Food edible, but they contain lots of chemicals in them. What does this mean? It means that we must go through the chemical intake in our diets, right? This is whatever is going on. And now there's a question. The question comes in everyone's mind, that why we are so dependent on these grounded, prepared, ready to use spices. Why we can't, the women in our house or the cooks we are keeping, whom we are paying a heavy amount, they are not being able to ground a fresh spice, and why can't they use that in our edibles instead of using these prepared, ready to use, fully chemically loaded recipe mixtures, right? So why do we use it? We are the women, why we are using it? Why we are going for such an hazardous, such an unhealthy thing in our we are using in for our families, for our kids, for our loved ones? Why are we using all these things? So why? Just number one, to do an easy and fast cooking, because they have got a lot of chemicals in them. That includes the preservatives, and then the tenderizers, the meat tenderizers. Now what are meat tenderizers? That tenderize the meat, that makes it more softer, because you just add it for a few hours, you leave it, you just sprinkle over the meat and you leave it for a few hours, and then it absorbed all the spices, and it gets marinated in a good form. It is full of flavors, and these flavors are all because of these, you know, the preservatives, and of course the tenderizers that you are using in it. And the tenderizer is also hazardous in a way that if it can tenderize that raw meat, then it definitely it will be having some, you know, some of its property would be there when you would just eat that meat. It would be. So why we are going for such things, just to to do an easy cooking that can be finished within an hour or half an hour, right? Or to make something different from of course the foods normally we are cooking by using the freshly grinded spices at home. We do not want to use that pestle mortar for grinding the spices. I want to avoid all that labor, so that's why we are using it, right? This could be one of the, and there could be one more interesting and more you can say a selfish reason maybe, to please everyone around us and to make them believe that we are the master chefs. We cook this thing, right? It's not because of the mixtures, recipe mixtures. We cook them. We usually hide these things that we are using the though the ones who know cooking very well, they can figure it out in seconds that they have used a recipe mixer, ready to use recipe mixture in it, right? So this could be, you know, we just wanted to, you know, create the impression on the people, so that it's because of us. It's not because of them ready to use recipe mixtures. It's us. We are the master chefs, and we have this super technique to cook delicious dishes. This could be one of the reasons, just to create the impression. So we want the impression. We want to be the, you know, to be called as the best chefs, best person who can cook this thing in the best way. And in that process we are forgetting what we are forgetting something that is very important. We are forgetting that the packets are full of toxic chemicals and that may harm our vital organs. Now, which vital organs? Of course, they can damage your brain. They can start damaging from your brain, then the central nervous system. People are mostly having the CNS disorders, right? The central nervous system disorders, because of regular intake of these ready to use spices. And then of course comes your liver, right? Your heart, because it contains lots of sodium in it, because monosodium is used in it, and the monosodium is extremely hazardous. It's very unhealthy for the people who have high cholesterol and who are fighting with different heart diseases. It can elevate all those things in a very, you know, in a way nobody wants. And it can because these are all the vital organs I'm talking about. And then they can damage the liver, because liver is the place where everything gets, you know, cleaned up. So it goes to the liver, and then of course the kidney. So these are all the vital organs on which it's gonna attack and it's gonna harm, and definitely the person will be ill, and definitely he or she would face a terrible end. So why do we need to use these ready-made mixtures? Why can't we we can buy a whole spice and we can grind it at home with a pestle mortar or with the electronic grinders? We have electronic grinders. We can do it at home easily. So I don't think so. Now, as I have done the survey, they contain metals. A lot of metals are there. Now, which metals? Of course, I can name the metals. Of course, the arsenic. Number one is arsenic, that is found in it. That has been investigated by a number of researchers, right? I have read a research paper from Karachi University in which they have mentioned that they have identified number of metals that were found in these ready to use recipe mixes. They contain arsenic in them. Arsenic has people can have arsenic poisoning. It can be very hazardous, right? It could be very hazardous. And then of course lead, huge amount of lead is there, which is also a very toxic and heavy metal. Then cadmium is there, and then chromium is there. These are all the heavy metals. These are extremely harmful for your health. And if in a very even little quantity is added, that is in the micro scale, but for the longer period of time you are using it in a micro scale, they can harm the humans easily. The concentration of these chemicals, right, that are in these ready to use mixtures, if it is in low quantity, then it could be less harmful, right? But the frequent intake, I mean after every 3 days you are using it, that means frequently you are using it, so it is life-threatening. It is simply a life-threatening step you are taking, and you are doing it, and you are harming your whole family. You are the one who is responsible for their illness. So don't do that. Stop using these ready-made mixes. This is my advice. Okay, now these spice mixes are packed, you can say these are branded also. Branded spice mixes should be avoided, right? They should also be avoided immediately from our daily life intake, as they may lead to what? Of course, to different diseases, like as I've mentioned it earlier, that it can harm your heart, right? Because a large amount of monosodium glutamate is there, right? And what is the function of monosodium glutamate? It enhances the flavor. As I've just mentioned it earlier, that the flavor of the dish is so good. It's so delicious. Why it is so? It creates a beautiful flavor, a very mouth-watering flavor in it. So this sodium glutamate, it is a flavor enhancer, right? And it should be avoided. This is what my suggestion is. So sodium glutamate I was talking about. So sodium glutamate can give rise to palpitations, right? What a person can what a person will feel. The person can be, you can say, feel palpitation. That means irregular heartbeat. This is called irregular heartbeat. Lot of monosodium intake. This is one of the reasons, right? And it leads to high blood pressure. And of course, that leads to high blood pressure. It leads to life-threatening diseases like stroke, right? Number one is stroke and heart attacks. So they can also, enhance sweating. It can a person can feel sweating, because when you eat a lot of spicy foods, what happens? You start sweating. What is the reason? It's because of this monosodium glutamate. You will have sweating, right? You will have headache. You will have a lot of pain in your head, and you won't be able to figure it out why you are having so much headache after eating this much, a little amount. Even if you take, it can cause different neurological diseases, as I just mentioned. That is the central nervous system. It can damage your central nervous system, and you can have a central nervous system disorder, right? It can harm, it can damage even the reproductive system, right? It can harm the fetus. So women should be away from all these spice mixes, ready to make spice mixes, though they are making this for their family. Lead is also a metal found in these ready-made mixtures, right? Lead is there, and cadmium is also very much there in these. Nickel is there. So these are all the metals. So it is used in nickel is basically used in kebabs. When you are making kebabs, they are using nickel, and the kebab mixtures, they contain a lot of nickel in them. So avoid all that, right? And these are all, because why I'm saying, because these are all heavy metals, right? And is used to mostly to preserve, mostly for years and years, just for keeping them, or for the storage purpose, they put these heavy metals into it, right? We must educate and motivate the people, especially women, right? Those who are cooking food at home, right? Right now I'm here in my institute, in my workplace, and my servant, my cook is there at home, and she is using these mixtures for me. So she's simply killing me, right? So don't provide them these mixtures, right? Those who are working women, it's a message for them. Don't use these, don't buy them, and don't use these mixtures, and avoid try to avoid as much as you can. And because instead of you can use whole spices, right? Just buy whole spices and grind them in a pestle mortar and use as a fresh ingredient. So I mean, no need to use these ready-made mixtures, and you must, I mean the government should prohibit these because they contain so much, I mean, hazardous metals in them are there. So in the end, I would this is my advice as a you can say organic chemist, right? As a organic chemistry teacher, as you can say as a scientist, and of course because I am directly involved, I am directly, you know, I can relate myself to these chemicals very much, because we use hand gloves when we are touching these. We are using gloves, right? We can't touch them with our hands, they are so hazardous, right? These, especially these metals and these marine these chemicals. So I may suggest everyone that stop using these ready to use mixtures for your cooking, right? And instead just buy a whole spice and use your grinders, which you can buy easily, and just use a grinder and just use the fresh, I mean, spice on the spot, right? So that would also enhance your enhance the flavor, because it will be, you know, freshly grounded, so it would be loaded with the flavors. So avoid these ready to use mixes, masalas or mixtures or spices, whatever you say, because whenever I open the, I mean if you just smell it, it has got such toxic pungent smell that is coming out from it. I mean I have irritation in my nose. So I mean they are loaded with the different type of chemicals so that they can be stored for longer and longer period of time. So just avoid them. I hope you liked my video today and you have a little bit knowledge about these ready to use spices, and you will try to avoid these for your for your family, for yourself, and you'll lead a healthy life. Hope to see you again with something new, something more interesting and exciting. Bye bye.